think that, these reforms will be carried out, or these changes are being carried out because of electoral autocracy? There's this term which is being bandied a hell of a lot, where it says that because the BJP has the numbers, they are thrusting this down the throats of people with it. There is no consensus in the country about these things.
All democracy is supposed to be through majorities, no? As long as a certain class had the majority in parliament, not necessarily majority of population voting for them, had a majority in parliament, even if it was in coalition, they thought it was democracy. When they get voted out for a variety of reasons, this elite now suddenly finds that democracy isn't such a useful thing after all. So, and by the way, this is not only in India. Many places in the world, what's happening is that the idea of liberal democracy is that self-certified liberals win, right? So whenever the self-certified liberals don't win, then it becomes you have to create these oxymorons like electoral autocracy. I mean, it's just completely absurd things. The idea itself is absurd. So, this is, by the way, as part of a much more systematic thing that we are seeing worldwide. And I've written about this, by the way. I've written working papers, articles about this. How we are seeing systematically a narrative built against India, whether it's by VDEM or EIU or Freedom House. All of them, by the way, funded by nebulous private charities such as the Soros's Open Society, etc. And they have the same narrative filtering through systematically. So this is also part of a global power game in which we have no choice but to participate. But we have to be out there and keep questioning all these
power. We have to participate. Like, why?
Because, you see, we cannot ignore these things. So let me explain this. Many of these indices, like, the ones that I just mentioned, these institutions publish a whole bunch of things, index on global freedom, index on democracy, academic freedom, and so on. And you will see India is always rated as low as possible.
Yeah.
So, you have 140 countries.
It's very annoying.
Yeah, 140 countries ranked on democracy. India is 108.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or we are rated on academic freedom below Afghanistan and Pakistan. I mean, just imagine.
Yeah.
So there's obviously not even a pretense of being objective about this whole matter. So I began writing about this for some time now. And the response is also quite funny. The VDEM's director basically comes and doesn't respond to any of my criticisms. Instead says, no, our things must be right because we use high maths and a supercomputer to work this out. So why do you need a supercomputer? All you did was took opinions of 25 people. That's it. I mean, a survey of 25 people to decide on how the world should be ranked. You've got to be kidding me. So this is the level of operations that is happening. But all this while, we never called them out. And a lot of people's view was, ignore them. You can't ignore them. I'll tell you why. Because you see, many of these things get slyly hardwired into real life things. So, for example, all these indices by VDEM, EIU, Freedom House, many others, they eventually end up in something called the World Bank's World Governance Indicators. Now, this in turn is 20% of the weightage at many of our sovereign ratings. And sovereign ratings have an impact on the rate
FDI,
at which
everything.
on all kinds of things. This is therefore a kind of power that is, in a secondary way, managing narratives is used by these nebulous funders to essentially manage the world, let's say. And this is, by the way, being extended. So please take this seriously. There's something called ESG norms. You will see this everywhere from now on. It's called the Environment, Social and Governance norms. And there is a very strong lobby worldwide trying to put these norms and indicators and indices into investment decisions, trade decisions. And so they will be used against us.
Why?
Well, because it serves various purposes in terms of, you see, India is a rising power. And we don't seem to be listening to, Western narratives or at least of the deep states in many of these countries. And so many of the deep state and corporate and geostrategic interests will want to trip us. I mean, we should expect this to
And I
happen,
think
but I'm
it'll-
just telling you that
that
do not be blind to what is a very well-oiled machinery.